Welcome to the Rise to Shine podcast with Noelle Custis, where we ignite the spark to discover your favorite self. It is time to get real, ladies. Hello. Welcome to the Rise to Shine podcast. I'm Noelle Custis, your host for today. And I am so excited because I have such a special guest joining me today, someone who actually played a huge role in my own transformation. You guys always hear me talking about transformation, and I'm going to tell you that Katie Watford is a brand style strategist, is what I'm calling her today. And she is the creator of the industry icon style formula. So she helps high-level female founders align their visual presence. So I want you to hear these words really loud and clear because they are so important. You're going to see why as we go through this podcast and we just have fun having a conversation. We're so excited to be able to get back together and reunite, and because when we get together, we have a lot of fun. So going back, she helps high-level female founders align their visual presence with their next level authority. So they're instantly recognizable in every room they enter. So her work doesn't just change your closet, it actually shifts your identity, your confidence, and the way you show up as the face of your brand. So again, I know this firsthand because working with Katie transformed not only my style, but it also transformed my brand and the confidence within that. We were just talking about this before we got on air, so I was giddy sharing some back scene stories for her, and maybe that'll seep out into the podcast today. But I can honestly say that working with Katie was a true turning point for me. It just shifted how I saw myself, how I showed up, how I carried my brand forward, and how I continue to carry my brand forward. So in this conversation, you're going to get to hear her story. You're going to learn about her signature method, and you're going to get a peek into her brand new mini series, Style to Scale, and you're going to love the perspective that she brings. So welcome, Katie. I'm so excited.
What an introduction, Noelle. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I know. Well, there's so much I can say. Obviously, we were already going crazy in the 10 minutes before we even hit record. But I would love for us to just, really kind of dive in, get the conversation going. And I'd love for you to tell the audience a little bit about you that I may not have mentioned here, and just take us back to where this all started. What pulled you into the world of styling and branding, and what led you to create your own business?
Wow. Okay. Memory lane. So I started in LA as a personal stylist and then quickly got into becoming a celebrity stylist. And my career basically skyrocketed overnight. And I was landing red carpet events like the Academy Awards, the Golden Globes, Independent Spirit Awards, Comic-Con, Today Show, Conan O'Brien. And I did it faster than anybody I've ever met without any connections. It was just pure audacity and vision. Now, while as fancy and as fabulous as it all may sound, I knew I wasn't really home with what I was supposed to be doing, but it played such a huge pivotal role in what I'm doing now. And so in 2018, when I was transitioning out of only doing that and really started to feel that nudge of a personal brand to emerge, and I didn't even know that's what it really was at the time. I just had this vision to start working with women more than outside of LA. And so this is back in 2018. And I pioneered one of the very first virtual styling businesses in the US. People were still trying to figure out Zoom at this point, let alone virtual styling was definitely not a thing like it is today. So I was really ahead of a time. And I scaled that company into go global from the US, Canada, and Dubai. And so what I learned and realized at this time was that leaders, personal styling didn't necessarily transform personal brands and leaders for what they needed because it was lacking a bigger system. So this has just been something that as the pandemic happened, that changed, and it moved me from the West Coast to the East Coast. And that's when I really got to work on my methodology when I moved back to the East Coast and started to take all this talent that God has given me and really start to take this and put it into now a brand and frameworks and getting ready to really take this to a whole different rebrand as we're going into this season.
Totally. And I'm so excited to talk about all of that because I know you have some things that are like on the brink of just being launched and birthed into this world. But I have to share this, and I know I shared it at the beginning, but I absolutely loved the process of working with you. Like, you know that it was my happy space because at the time I was totally like launching my business as well. And I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I'm just going to be very honest. Like, I had retired from teaching. I had no idea what I was doing. And I was, I think at the time I was even going through my certification to become a coach. And I was,
I think
taking, you know how it is when you start a business and you don't really know what's going on. I felt like I needed to get a whole master's degree in how to run a business and what the heck I was doing. So doing the work that we were doing together became my happy place. So I would always tell you, like, oh, I was so excited to be able to tap into your work today. And whenever we would meet each other, we would just be giddy because I would just be so excited because the process was so fun. And what blew me away in the process is that I learned because originally I thought it was just about clothes.
yeah.
I was like, it's just about the clothes. Like, I need to figure out what the heck I'm wearing. I want to have like a cool brand. I love the aesthetics, like all the things. But what it did is it shifted how I actually saw myself. So I would love for you to just talk about why style is so tied to identity and why it can create such a powerful transformation.
Oh man. Like, okay. Okay. Here's the thing is if you are looking at style and you are looking at it from how it's being just bombarded to you right now online of this is what's in season and trends, and you know that's one of my style philosophies, Noelle, is not about trends at all.
Yep.
And it's such a time when actual what style really is about is really being diluted, and it's something that I will not let happen. And when you can drown out the noise of
Mhm.
this is what's in season, or these are what colors look good on your skin complexion, not to say that that doesn't have some type of role that's not important,
Right.
but when you can start to just get in touch with the woman that's looking in the mirror from the inside first and let everything else just kind of do it the way that I do it, I guess, and not worry about like, well, does this look cute on me or not? How do I want to be perceived? It is
Mm.
such a deeper conversation when you just first start at it from almost a character development lens, and that's in a way how I do it,
Yeah.
artist development lens, because when working in the industry, when you sit down with a recording artist, you're not going to go, okay, well, this just came down the runway, and you got to get to know the artist and what makes them different and
Mhm.
what makes their body of work. Why did they say the things that they said? You really get to know them. That doesn't happen in personal styling, which is why I never liked personal styling, because it just didn't translate to this deeper role of identity. And so, one of the most powerful things a woman can do for herself at any point in her career is to really work on her style if she comes through the lens of like, how am I really showing up and being perceived? And it's not always about what everybody else is thinking, it's actually how you think about yourself. So, I don't know if
Mm.
I answered the question directly or.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just I think the whole point being is that it is so much bigger than just the clothes that you're wearing. It's such a deeper like inside job. It's really an inside job.
It's an inside outside job. And so you're
Yes,
going to do
yes.
it as an inside outside job, then you have to really start on the inside first. Because I'll tell you what, I've never had a woman be like, I have the best body. I've had every woman tell me what's wrong with her body and what's wrong with that. And then I've had every woman sit there and tell me, well, I think that not every woman, I shouldn't say that, but I had a lot of women say, well, this looks cute. And that's just language that I can already say you're not in touch with you of
Mhm.
what you're really wanting to present to the world. Because when you're presenting, this is the woman that I am, and I understand what personality traits that I feel really alive in, and I understand this part of my story that I want to communicate through my image and my brand, then you're coming from true self-expression
Mm,
from such an aligned place, and I use this word a lot in my world, that
yeah.
therefore you could care less what's in season, or you can admire it, and
Right.
and you can be like, oh, that's cute, but you don't get caught up in all of the noise of all this stuff where you're constantly like panic shopping or just being wasteful about things, and you're really actually getting in touch with yourself. It improves your relationship with yourself faster and deeper than I would say anything else out there, because it changes not only your physiology, but when you start wearing these, outfits that are styled to your industry icon style formula, you're showing up as the next level you. And that in
Mhm.
itself is like, oh wow, she's getting looked at differently than this old version of me. And
Yeah.
that's the work that it's not labor, physical labor.
Right.
It's allowing yourself to be seen in a different light, but it's also allowing yourself to see yourself in a different light first, because that's where it really starts. And
No, so good. Oh my
yeah,
God. Yeah.
and it's such a transformative process for a woman that I cherish and love so much. And I'm so grateful God gave me these talents and the way that He gave this to me, and allows me, because I just intuitively always knew not to get caught up into, overly like what's in season and the trends and this is on runway. I know how to speak it, I know how to do it all, but at the end of the day, the identity work that comes through your style and branding your image, man, it's so much bigger than like, this looks good. These are the colors that complement your skin complexion. That's called
Right.
transactional styling. It's very surface level. It's fun. Of course, there's
Mhm.
elements of that with, of course, in styling. But if you really want this to take the lid off for your confidence, for a transformation as you do in your world, Noelle, with for women, then it has to come from the inside out first.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, so good. I'm just like, there's just so much to unpack, I know, because I just feel this so deeply now because I'm on the journey that it's like I'm on the other side of just that very like basic work of the outside part and being able to step into the inside to then affect my outside. Like how I step into a room. So part of what we were talking about before we even hopped on here is, and for people that are in my world, they kind of know that this is happening and I'm getting closer and closer to be able to reveal this project that I'm working on that is requiring me to step into visibility and
Mhm.
is requiring me to be more visible, which would have scared the heck out of me a couple of years ago. So much so that I was telling you, had I been asked to do this project before I started doing the work with you, I probably would have said no.
I truly believe, Noelle, I truly believe this in the core of my bones and every strand of red hair on my head, which is a lot of hair. That is that this area is the biggest area that holds more women back in their life, in their career, in
Yes.
their visibility, because they are either getting distracted by all the noise of stuff that actually literally has nothing to do with it. Um,
Yep.
and some may say it's their body, but
Mm-hmm.
that's actually still an identity thing in itself,
Yeah.
because you're still seeing yourself through, well, I used to be this size when I was 20. So you're still
Mm-hmm.
looking at yourself from a past version instead of looking at who's the woman on my vision board. How does she look?
Yeah.
And connecting with her and getting dressed as her, like this, because that's where she lives, and she's you now. She
Mm-hmm.
just has a different wardrobe or different pieces or what, and so, and it's
Yeah.
one of those things where I know that this held me back too. I know I gave the resume and the credentials that I did, but that doesn't mean that I still didn't have times where I, more chapters than one, had these times when I didn't want to go do certain things because I didn't have the image. And it's one that you can still have a successful business and still not feel being fully expressed in what you do. And
Mm.
that's
Great point.
huge, huge.
Yeah.
And then also just to be able to receive these visibility opportunities, which could literally change the game, which
Yes.
one,
Girl.
yeah, huge.
Well, and that's the thing because Well, even speaking to that, is there were things that were starting to shift and change as I was going through this transformation with you. And then on like when we were, doing this work, I could feel it. I was embracing it. I was definitely becoming more aligned with myself and my brand. But you're exactly right. What ended up happening is because I was showing up as her and because I was showing up in my brand, more opportunities started to come for me to be more visible.
Yeah.
Right. So that is what has blown me out of the water as I'm sitting here talking to you. Like it's literally making me teary because I'm going, oh my gosh, like sometimes we get so like busy and, we're just in that momentum of like go, go, go that we stop and remember where we were just a year ago, just 2 years ago. And I'm sitting here and I'm talking to you and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm in high vibes right now. I'm not meant to get all teary over this, but it strikes such a chord with me because the work is so much more important than I ever even realized.
I remember when you messaged me and you went, I have no idea how important this work was.
Totally.
And it's that's why I say it's truly one of the most important transformative processes a woman can do for herself. Uh
Yeah.
and I mean I'm speaking from personal hand experience, obviously, with and the work I do with my clients.
Yeah, totally. So, I have to ask you one more thing, just because it's fun and I know it's kind of like your thing. Can we talk about, or can you share with us? You talk about the JLo effect. So, I would love to just know a little bit more about that, and then we're going to dive into all of your cool stuff that you got going on.
Well, one thing when my one thing, if you're really talking about identity work in your style and
Hmm.
showing up as the next level you and not getting caught up into the trends, how do you do that? How do you get, and one of the best examples of a woman who is 100% authentic, unapologetic, has never looked trendy a single day in her career, a
Mm.
woman who easily could have. Yes, she's got one of the best glam squads in the world, but she always looks authentic to her, and people are always on the edge of her seats of like, how does she do it? What's she wearing now? Sometimes it's very very Latina, very sexy. Then you got the New York feel to her from the Bronx, and she's just got this range, and it's really what has inspired a big chunk of my method is how to brand your style to create the JLo effect, because
Mm.
it's actually about you telling your story through your visual identity. And she's a master, yes, a style icon, but she's a master at branding her style. So that way it's infused in every outfit from the stage wear to the vacation wear in Europe. And so how to brand your style to create the JLo effect is how we develop your signature style, so that way you show up unapologetically as you through your own visual identity.
Right. And well, and the reason why I wanted to bring that up, because I remember it was so funny because one of the first questions that you had asked me when we started doing our work is you were like, well, who are some people that you really, look at their wardrobe, or, you think you admire them, or whatever that looks like for you. And I remember, honestly, even like in my boards and all the things, I was like, whether you're a fan of hers or not, like I don't even care about the music. I don't care about whatever your opinions are of her doesn't matter in this. It's about, like you said, I remember in my mind going, I want to be like J-Lo. Like,
Yeah.
I freaking, not to mention she absolutely like kills me when it comes to being in her 50s and, what she just looks like. Like you said, she's got a huge glam squad, right? But what I realized is it wasn't that I wanted to dress like J-Lo. It was what she brings to the table. Like, she is magnetic. There is something about her when she shows up on stage. You are just like, in awe of the way that she has branded herself. Like you said, it's like all about that. It's just such that inner and outer that comes out in that space. And I didn't realize it at the time. I just remember her being someone that I was like, J-Lo just is freaking like something about her style. I love it. But I realized it was so much more than just the wardrobe,
I
right?
mean, And to tie it back a moment ago when I was talking about that, when you work with an artist, it's not like it's getting to know them. And she's so brilliant at branding her style through telling her story.
Hmm.
So she's always said, I'm the girl from the Bronx. And she's got this, what I teach is, it's through her style types. And so
Yeah.
she rotates through her style types brilliantly and she
Hmm.
reinvents it, but it's still the same category that she has reinvented again and again and again, but it's still saying the same narrative, so it's still on brand, but it's
Hmm.
keeping it fresh for obviously her expertise and authority and what it needs to do for her and her brand and her business.
Yeah.
But when you know how to brand your style to create the JLo effect through your style types,
Yes.
you eliminate, because I don't feel like I said that, like tied it in, what is the JLo effect? So let me tie it together right now.
Yeah.
But it's when you know how to do that through your style types,
Yeah.
that is how you tangibly then start coming from true aligned self-expression. You start coming from brand alignment. You can really start to develop your leadership optics. And the reason why I love working or I'm using hers as that example is because when you say leadership optics, everybody kind of gets blinded that they've got all of a sudden wear this like power suit or, and it a lot of people start looking the same. There's a way that you keep it fresh and original by really developing it through the style types to create that industry icon formula that allows you to not get pigeonholed in doing something that's stereotype,
Yes.
which is like, okay, well, this is, well, how should I look? Well, how do you want to look? You know?
Right.
And that's one thing that is the core of how to brand your style to create the JLo effect is through developing your brand through your style types.
Totally. And that's what I love because that's one thing that no matter what your style type is, I feel like what I walked away from in working with you is that no matter what that is for you, you find a way to not blend in anymore. Like you're not blending it. Like, yeah, okay, your style type might be, and I don't want to give it all away because there's so much fun in all of that. Is figuring all of that out is so much fun. And I love, like I said, it was my happy place to figure this out. But what I love about it is that yeah, you might be the powerhouse suit gal, but there is a way to not blend in with
Oh,
that
and
when you
that's
do your work.
And that's the part that I love is like, okay, this developing your style types for your industry icon style formula is just step one. When you get under the layer, so I'll just give you a little teaser about JLo, right? So one that she's so good at doing is this very tastefully timeless look. And actually one that we did not or like kind of riff on, but this is
Uh-huh.
where you think of that signature gorgeous mint green dress that she wore at the Oscars, and it was by Valentino, and it
Totally.
literally changed her career, right? And then you've
Totally.
seen her in Europe, and she just almost looks very like old Hollywood.
Hmm.
There's a certain spin that she has done that really makes it so iconic, magnetic,
Yeah.
unapologetic. And that's how you rotate it through is when you're able to really do that. And it also helps remove the confusion because I remember while we're sitting there going, I like Victoria Beckham. And you were saying to me, I want to do more of an edge. And what we went through the whole process of really getting clear on like what's Noelle's real style types here
Right.
and getting to that iconic formula for you was actually you're like, oh, Katie, I just really admire her. I don't actually want to look like her. And
Yeah.
that was huge for you because
Hmm.
you're gonna buy wrong pieces if you think you want to do something. But again, we did
Totally.
it from the inside out, and that's really what allowed you to set up for this transformation that you've gone through now that's opening up all these doors with this visibility. So
Yeah.
it's that's why that's an example of you, my dear, of how it really plays a huge role in how it transforms your life. Because if you're trying to be something you're not, then you're not
Mm,
being authentic. And the
totally.
real you as should be shining, not the version of you that somebody's telling you to look at through magazines, or not a version of you that you're second guessing yourself because it's in season.
Totally. Totally. And that's what I loved because I did come to the table so confused. I was so confused. I was like, well, wait, like when we were looking at all the different styles, I was like, wait, I'm that, and I wait, but I'm that, and I'm that, and I'm that. And then we were able to work your method and we were able to hone it in. And I was able to understand myself just exactly the way you were talking about that. It didn't necessarily mean I wanted to dress like that person. I was able to identify there were things that I admired about that person and their magneticism and all of those kinds of things. Because I was like, wait, I'm a blend between like what I wanted, what I thought initially. I remember being like, well, I love Jennifer Aniston and I just love her simplicity, but then I love the edge of Victoria Beckham, but I love the magneticism of J-Lo. And like, girl, I was all over the place. So this is why I love it because you bring such clarity as well. And so that's why I want to get into it. So let's just get into what is going on in your world right now because I know that even from the time that we started working together, you have even more going on. Like you have really just kind of like elevated in understanding where your work is and how it's impacting women. So tell us, I know that style to scale is something that you are ready to birth into this world. And can you tell us about that and why you created that?
Yeah, so style to scale is going to be a couple things in my world. One, it's going to be this new mini series that's coming out in September. But it's how do you get dressed so that way you get yourself ready for all of these visibilities as a brand. So
Mhm.
style to scale is going to be a master class. It's going to show you the first step about knowing your signature style through your style types. And this is where you're really going to see exactly how it is that I show you to build your industry icon style formula through this three-part masterclass. And then this is where it's time to really start changing the language and the narrative for specifically brands right now, Noelle, because I see a gap in the market right now where high level women are experiencing and they're hearing things that are not quite lining up with their brand alignment, you know?
Mm.
And the leadership optics is all looking the same, where everybody's like blending in, and so it's time to really start to have things from a brand strategist angle, if you will, of really talking about this in a very auto series with style to scale and letting people more into the world of what it is that I do on how this is really obviously when you align with your brand um, with the brand alignment and you really tap into that buyer psychology through what you wear and then start telling that story just how they do it also like in the luxury fashion houses, how
Mhm.
Chanel and them do it, how Dior and them do it. They are branding their images and their style. It's so much more of experience. And these are just conversations that I need to have in a deeper thing that's just more than a post on Instagram. So
Yeah.
it's finally time for me to reveal a lot of the stuff that I've had in my back pocket for well over 10 years.
Yeah. So see, well, and that's what I love that because like you said, we can only show snippets of what's happening in our world and what it is that we do on social media in a smaller way, right? And so I love that this is going to be something that you can go deeper and help women to understand this. I think it's going to be so, so powerful. And I would love for you to kind of, just help women understand too that yes, we're talking about, we're definitely talking about the elevated woman in business and like your brand, but also touching on just, the women. So many women in my world are maybe not necessarily like running their own business, they're not necessarily an entrepreneur, but they're looking to level up. So it could
Yeah.
be just in, they're in midlife and they're like, you know what, I'm ready to level up. What do you have to say for that with the work that you do?
Well, it still is about visibility still at that point. Like it's just
Mhm.
different visibility. So you're not to the business women, the high level women, of course. We're talking about, going on stage and doing that. But the visibility, what I've done with clients who have come to me and they're like, I just want to do this for myself. They want to be able to get dressed confidently and take photos at their son's wedding and not like
Yes.
literally uncringe from like like thinking about removing the tag on the Facebook post, you know? They
Mhm.
want to feel sexy in a way that they used to in their 20s and re-spark that romance and have their husband sending them that text message that said, I was checking you out when you left the house this morning and saw the ring doorbell and saw how great you look. And, there's that plays just as much as the role in all of it for all women because it's where you feel alive. I mean, and it's still the same elements of really connecting to you're wanting to still style to scale because you're wanting to get out there. You're wanting to be able to take those compliments and show up in that coffee shop and have a complete stranger come up to you and sit there and say, wow, you look amazing.
Mhm.
Not, that's such a cute top. Like it's such a
Totally.
different transaction. It's such a different moment where it's actually Noelle, and didn't even plan on talking about this, but it's like letting women learn to receive.
Mm, I
When you're
think
seen and you're allowing yourself to be seen on stage, interviews, what you just did this get project that you're on, but
yeah.
even allowing you to be seen who you are going up to a girl's brunch and you're not worried or second guessing as you get out of the car if you're too much or is somebody looking at you or that. And you can
Yeah.
just feel good about like I am being me 100%. And I
Mhm.
don't need to prove anything to anybody. I don't need any validation because I did this for me.
Yeah.
Wow. Confidence booster times 1,000. Because then that's when you're really going to be visible and really showing
Mhm.
up as the real you. And then taking those chances, those bigger moves, how that may look for you, even in your everyday life. Again, just allowing yourself to receive the attention and the compliments and the energy, even from yourself.
Yeah, gosh, it's so before you had even said that and hit that point, I loved when you had said it's about feeling alive again.
Mm.
And there's something about that that just really gives me the goosebumps because I think that so often as women, we can kind of like, again, we are nurturers, we're caretakers, we're taking care of everybody else. We go back to that image of how we looked in our teens, how we looked in our 20s. And then we just kind of, we don't know how to get in touch with that again without thinking it has to do with, oh, we have to be the perfect weight. Oh, it's because I used to fit into all of those cute clothes. Not recognizing that you're just not like you're not aligned right now. You are not feeling alive because you're comparing it to that version of yourself that you have grown out of. You are no longer that person. You're not meant to be that anymore. Like, so I love that you say that it's receiving, it's acknowledging that we can show up in confidence no matter what we're doing in life. Like you said, it's even getting out of the car and going to brunch, or it's even, not struggling with taking the picture. I mean,
Yeah.
how many of us get in a place where we're like, oh gosh, I don't like pictures, or I don't want to be in that picture because we're so not aligned as to who we are in our own identity and in our own confidence. And this work just, I'm telling you, it just shifted my whole way of thinking in that space because I was that person. And that's why I say if I would have been asked to do this project a couple years ago, I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, and I can share this because this is a real time story that I shared with you as well. Not only did I say yes to this project, but one of the members of, I guess I can say this because we know about this much, but one of the members that are like part of the crew had pulled me aside. And now, mind you, I'm one of the oldest in this project. Um, and there's all sorts of things that I could have gotten super hung up on. And I didn't because I was like, nope, I'm doing this thing. I'm walking in my confidence. This is an opportunity. Let's go for it. And he pulled me aside and said, and I originally thought I was in trouble because he's like, Noelle, come here. I need to talk to you. And I thought, oh gosh, what did I do? And he goes, who styles you? And I was like, what? What are you talking about? And he goes, no, who styles you? Like who is all you like who's behind the brand for you? And I was like, myself? And he goes, you had to have worked with somebody.
Oh,
And I was like, as a matter of fact, I have. And that's what just was wild to me is that it came full circle, and it was probably one of the best compliments I have ever had. And I was able to receive it and go, oh my gosh, thank you. That you have no idea how much that means to me, because again, it's a transformation. Like someone had recognized the transformation without realizing I had gone through a transformation, you know? And so it was just such a cool moment that I could embrace it in a way. And he went on to share some other things with me that were just, I mean, truly brought me to tears. Like I got in the car and I immediately called my mom and I was like, Mom, you would never guess what somebody just said to me, you know, because it was just a real moment that
that's if you call your mom, then that's like,
that's
then
it.
that's like that was a moment. No, well, that's why going back to like what we're talking about at the very beginning of this, like it it when you really know how you want to beyond your body type and size and beyond what's your skin complexion, beyond what's going in season. I've seen so many successful women on global publications that know how to dress their body types, that know how to sit there and wear the right things that elongate their lines, that know
Yeah.
all this stuff, that have the
Right.
designer pieces in their closet, that like, but are hiding, that are
Mhm.
not actually allowing themselves to receive. And this is going to go into a different direction that I wasn't planning on going in, but it's like when you are able to receive and receive that attention like that, you're really in your feminine energy. And I'm not a
Mm.
woo-woo, I at all. I'm very much a Christian, but there's a lot of internal work that I've been doing behind the scenes of like, because a lot of women right now are operating such in a masculine energy place
Yeah.
and not in their feminine. And and not feminine doesn't always mean that you have to be in pink and you have to be in,
Exactly.
that's not what I'm saying. But being the soft and the gentle and receiving the compliment, the attention, the help, just feeling, taking that time as you are getting yourself ready, not rushing through it because it's a thing to get off your task. Because as a woman, when you're actually going through something, you enjoy it's more feminine than it is masculine. And this has been very eye-opening for me from the inside out, as we're talking about. Of like, wow, it's really connecting to yourself more, obviously, as a woman, but in that feminine energy.
Yeah.
And it really is that such a thing that I had to really even realize just recently, like, which was huge because and that's where it's resting in how God made you more as a woman and tapping into how that specifically does look for you. But that's where it's like unwinding all the noise from so that way we can really get down to there she is. This is how it is, and look what happens.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Well, I have to ask, one last question before we get into our little game that we always do at the end.
Okay.
But looking back on this journey, what has been the most rewarding part of doing this work? And so I guess it's kind of two part. What advice would you give to the woman listening who knows that she's ready to rise into her iconic self?
So the first question again is what is for me as my personal testimony of transfer style transformation.
Yeah, and just your most rewarding part of doing this work.
Um, the most rewarding part of me doing this work, as this is my business, is just to see women own their confidence and continue to watch them grow and own their confidence because there's always another glass ceiling and how that translates into them literally 4xing their income to then them just being completely content with happy with themselves and don't feel like they need anything else. Just to be
Mhm.
able to sit there and have women feel comfortable in their skin and however that works specifically for them is the most rewarding because I know how hard I had to work to feel comfortable in my skin. And if I can at all have play a role in that at any level of a woman's career and life, I mean, it's an honor.
Yeah, I love that. And then what advice would you give to the woman that's listening and knows that she wants to rise into this iconic self, but maybe doesn't know like where to begin or what to do?
You need to take styled to scale. That's the first step for you to do. That's what I'm doing
100%.
my signature masterclass, and it's going to give you it's going to take you behind the scenes of what my world is like and my method and the industry icon formula. It's going to completely knock your socks off. There is nothing else like there in the market, period, end of story. And that's her first step to do.
I love it. Thank you. I'm so glad you said that. That was what I was hoping you were going to say. And I can 100% like, I know that this is a newer space that she has entered into. So this is going to be epic. I promise you. Because I know, like I said, the work that I've done with her, with you, Katie, has just been it literally has been transformational, and it's such a huge part of my story. And it's such an exciting journey. I think that's what it is because it's so revealing. So now we get to have a little fun with you. So we do a little thing called Spark and Spill. And basically, it's just some fun questions. It's just, go ahead and answer just at the, top of the brain. It doesn't have to be anything that's like super, super deep. But it's just kind of those quick fire questions. So are
Okay.
you ready to play?
Play. I love that we're ending on a game. Let's do
I
it.
love it. Okay. So my first question, there's 5 questions. So my first one is, what's one outfit that always makes you feel unstoppable?
Camo.
I knew you were gonna. Why did I know you were gonna say that?
I'm
Okay,
in camo
heels.
right now.
I love it. Heels or sneakers? What's your go-to power move?
Heels.
One style icon, past or present, that you'd love to raid the closet of.
um, I guess. Ooh, this one's tough. This is tough. I guess since obviously I've talked about her, J-Lo.
Okay, fair, fair. What is one thing every woman should ditch from her closet right now, if anything?
Rules.
Ooh, that is good. That is good. I love it. Okay, and then we always ask this question, uh, a favorite book or podcast that you would want others to know about.
We're on it right now, Noelle.
Okay, hello. You can come on anytime. We might just have to keep doing this, girl. We might have to have a style series or something like that. That would be
Yes,
so.
let's do it. That's fantastic.
Oh, girl, this has been so much fun. I have loved our conversation. I've just loved being able to connect here in this space. And I know that my audience is going to take so much from your story and your brilliance and your energy. But before we wrap up, I definitely want to make sure that you share with our listeners how they can connect with you and get plugged into your world.
Yep. So I am hot over there on Instagram. That is my main platform. So you can connect with me over there. And that is where, again, you can connect with the Signature Masterclass Styled to Scale or dive into the new bingeable or audio mini series that we have coming out, still titled Style to Scale. And you're really going to get more deep conversations like this that are just going to just pivot your confidence, eliminate all the rules, and really help you develop and connect from the inside out.
Love it so much. Thank you again, Katie, for being here and for speaking so much inspiration today. I hope that everyone is as excited about all of this as I am. And then, of course, to all of you listening, keep rising, keep shining, and know that the best day is right here waiting for you. Bye, friends. Thanks for joining me here today. Your presence means the world to me. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider leaving a rating and review, and don't forget to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Head to the show notes and let's connect. Rise to Shine Co. is ready to support you in coaching, collaboration, life tips, or even a coffee chat. Until next time, keep shining, my friends.